welcome to the 2021 IAP2 Australasia virtual conference.
Thanks, Amy.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā mihi mahana kia koutou, ko aura ki te maunga, ko waimakariri te awa. No ōtautahi ahau, he IAP2 Australasia a konga ahau, ko Mene toku whānau, ko Chris toku ingoa.
I believe for organisations to lead by example internally and in a client-facing capacity, though, having empathy is probably the most important tool in your kit.
And what we really want to do is turn a little bit of a magnifying glass on ourselves just at the start in a really loving, accepting, non-judgmental way.
You need to make your story broad-based if you want everyone included. So you've really got community involvement, stakeholder involvement, and everyone can feel like they can access it and they can help you then. They come up with ideas.
The UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, of which Australia is a signatory, states that people with disability have the right to contribute to policy and to be consulted on the same basis as other people in the community. This is just one example of legislation that actually mandates that we need to make sure there's equitable access to engagement.
I also firmly believe that we as practitioners have an absolute opportunity to take such a massive leadership role in this space. It's not overt, it's not upfront, it's not banging a drum. It's just by doing it, we can really start to get some much better outcomes for our entire community by being inclusive and accessible right across the board. And it's not a particularly difficult thing. It's an education thing. It's an understanding thing. It's certainly achievable. And I think that in my mind is the exciting thing. And I think where we are starting to really head towards and evolve to.
So we invite you into a virtual experience to take a moment to stop and look outside your current lens, to ground yourself and immerse yourself into this experience. We invite you to draw yourself into the narrative and focus on it rather than just view it as an observer.
The next thing that we wanted to talk about was relationships. So reciprocity is such a key and important part of Aboriginal cultural framework, even to the basis if we care for country, she will care for us. We have these very intrinsic ways of thinking about our relationships to country and to each other. And it's not always, it's not transactional, like give and take. It's more about us always being committed to showing up and presenting and contributing as well as receiving. And it's much more of a flow than this kind of transactional way of thinking about things.
Those conversations, as you know, can be increasingly difficult to have in a world where people have become more likely to yell at each other on social media than sit down and have a conversation about what drives their differing points of view and how to mitigate or resolve those differences, how to find the common ground.
So for this session on collaborating with key stakeholders in a complex and evolving major project, the focus is on the Metro Tunnel project that we're delivering here in Melbourne. So I've just put an outline of the key areas that we'll cover in the presentation, the project itself, who's involved, and the stakeholder engagement approach, as well as some case studies of initiatives that we've undertaken on the project.
I think we need to dig deeper than reputational risk. There's a reason why it's a reputational risk. Get to that underlying factor.
And also being honest, if you got it wrong, we can get it wrong. We come up with a design. Oh my God, that's crap. We didn't realise this would impact school kids like this. Okay, sorry, we've heard you, we've changed it. How many communities have responded so well to that? Oh, you listened. That's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. Let's move on. We're human. We're not perfect. Engineers know a lot. They don't know everything. We don't know everything. We're all people. If we work together, I think those sort of tools help. But I know I'm preaching to the converted.
We can be out in the community at community fairs, for example, and some people will come in, they're interested, they want to know what's going on. But a lot of people walk straight past as well. So it's creating that relevance to people. How do we make the content relevant so that people are encouraged to come in.
There are other ways to involve stakeholders because obviously, having stakeholder input and support is a very, valuable thing in any sort of engagement. And so what happens in Australia and around the world is to actually involve stakeholders through some sort of a reference or advisory group so that they can actually be involved in identifying who are some important speakers that the deliberative panel should hear from. They would be able to oversee the process designed to ensure that the participants weren't being led in any way and that it was, the process was neutral and open.
We do keep hearing again and again, inclusion, meet me where I'm at, make sure that, I can, it's comfortable and easy for me to participate.
So I became passionate about creating more spaces to uncover our inner lives, to expose the unspoken, to consider how our public realm can better address our psychological health. Like the Confessions Project, where I invited people to anonymously share and see the confessions of the people around them. From I love cats and hate my sister to I appear to have it all and I'm still depressed. The gamut of humanity was on full display.
Social media has its place. I guess what we need to be really cautious in terms of using that platform is that we don't turn it in a place to debate where someone is right and someone is wrong. That there's the ability to create a dialogue to have a shared understanding.
This session is going to bring you out from your home and leave your screen, but still getting connected. Responding to today's theme about being apart but together.
One of the biggest challenges with climate is that it's always been posed as a kind of as a future event, 2050, but in the next 100 years this will happen, or this is happening over in Antarctica, or this is happening in Bangladesh. The most critical thing is to be able to connect climate impacts and climate action with the things that people value today and the values that they have.
So the question arises, how do we ensure resilient communities and what role do communities play? As a starting point, we gathered 500 stakeholders from across industry, academia, government and communities, and we asked them how to build community resilience. We synthesised these views and came up with a paper entitled A Pathway to Infrastructure Resilience, which we launched with Infrastructure New South Wales.
Caring is the first step to actually creating action by caring about these things and just having the emotional capacity to be a bit upset when something awful happens on the news, where we create a capacity in ourselves to look for solutions and to create something better for the world.
Our story is essentially about engaging in a place, in a community, in a complex, very low trust and rapidly shifting context.
In my experience, a game should offer a clear and highly relatable narrative. It has to be something that people can connect with in the real world. It has to mimic reality, but be simple enough to manage, because frankly, as a facilitator, there's only so many things that I can keep in my head at any given time.
To spark interest in big ideas for what the new parkland could actually look like, Council asked some of Brisbane's leading design professionals to develop independent creative ideas for Victoria Park.
It is through listening and looking and thinking that we gain our wisdom to speak. You're having trouble connecting, you're having trouble bringing hope. Try listening to the people that you're working with. Try looking and watching what they do in their world and thinking about what happens in their world before you even earn the right to speak.
The Logan Community Vision was developed through methods of important and intensive conversation. And I think the last one's a really strong one, is that all the voices and the opinions matter to us, and that we reach parts of the community that we often don't get to.
Engagement is a growing profession, and we've been creating it, all of us, and you can see it evolving all the time.
And community engagement and hope are just so beautifully merged. Because community engagement is about having something that we need to move forward on. It's about involving people in how we need to move forward on something.
So you've got to find a connection activity that will help them connect fast and deep. To connect fast and deep. And so of course as I saw the other week, I saw a draft agenda from a client and it had icebreaker up there, and the minute I see the word icebreaker, I run a mile, as do most people. because if I haven't said it before, I'll say it again. Icebreakers, free ships, they do not warm up people. So can we just drop that word icebreaker? Let's talk about connect. It's more purposeful. So no icebreakers.
The winner went to Dunedin City Council and WST for whakahehe rau, raka e te, rau taki tai. So my congratulations to a very good winner.
The winner is the Level Crossing Removal Project.
One of Melbourne's most notorious level crossings has gone.
So I want to thank you for your time.
In our language, we say nyanyabu, which is nyanyan, our eyes, nyan, boo, in the future. So I say nyanyabu, I hope to see you in the future.
So thank you very much. We've come to the end of the time. I'd like to thank you all for your participation and to IAP2 Australasia for hosting the online conference this year. I'd also like to thank our Auslan interpreter, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thanks everyone, and thank you again, Kate.
Thank you very much for your time and sharing your experience.
Thank you everyone for joining this session today.
Thank you, Vivek and Emanuela, for your time and what you've contributed to the conference.
Thank you both on behalf of IAP2.
The hugest thank you from our community in Australasia. We love what you do.
Thank you very, very much, Tiffany. Fantastic session.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rory. I think you will get a lot of contact from the delegates.
Thank you very much for your presentation today and the discussion. It was very insightful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us, Natalie and Lisa. That was really mind-blowing.
Thank you for those marvellous insights.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you for your insights, and it's certainly going to sharpen how I approach things.
I'd like to thank Jacinta for such a great workshop. Love the drawings, love the style of her presentation, such fun and such practical takeaways for us all.
Nō reira, kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou, I thank you once, tēnā koutou, I thank you twice, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you.